Welcome to G&T, Sips and Giggles, where every sip brings a giggle and every story sparkles with charm. Join the fabulous Tina Leggs Tantrum and her delightful co-host, that's me, Glenn, for a journey back to the groovy 70s, where Tina shares her enchanting tales of running a dance school amidst a vibrant backdrop of Belfast. In this episode, Tina takes us on a whirlwind adventure in her tacky time machine, of course, through her colourful past, offering a glimpse of the glamorous yet tumultuous world of a young drag queen navigating life in the midst of the troubles. From the eccentric characters that she encountered with challenges that she faced as a wee girl, well, really she's a boy, with big dreams, Tina's stories are heartwarming as they are hilarious. Get ready to laugh, cry and savour every sip as Tina regales us with her captivating anecdotes sprinkled with her signature wit and charm. So, grab your favourite beverage, settle in and let the laughter flow as we raise a glass to the past on G&T, Sips and Giggles. Theme tune.
Hi everybody, welcome back. It's me, Miss Tina Leggs Tantrum. How are you all doing? Thank you for tuning in.
And of course, it's me, Glenn.
I was just about to say that.
Well, that would actually make a change because you usually do forget to sort of introduce me.
Do you know what? We've been working together in Dragster Riches. I actually had to publicly state, do you remember?
Yes, I do.
I was only a show it last week. I had to stop and go, right. Ladies and gentlemen, can I just say, and then I had to introduce you because I just get so happy and in that fuzzy bubble in my head and champagne bubbles down my nose that I'm so happy that I have an audience and I have a microphone in my hand. And it's very hard for me to go, wait, there's someone else you need to talk about. This is very important. And it's you.
Thank you.
And I publicly said the last time I was like, right. I think I've done it twice now and went.
And I'd have 30 shows.
30 shows.
You've introduced me twice, yes.
Yeah, because it's normally at the end.
To be fair, it doesn't faze me in any
because
way.
You see if it was the other way around.
I think people would be scratching their heads if I didn't introduce you, to be fair.
Well, I'd be standing with a face like thunder, and I believe you me, there'd be words.
So this week's podcast, we're talking about you and your dance school.
Yes.
So you need to take us back in time.
Oh,
in that tacky time machine.
Oh, my tacky time machine. And I love tack. I love it. There's nothing. Listen, when it comes to the tackiest drag queen, redneck, I love tacky. Do you know why I embrace all of that? The Millie, the tacky, because I just feel so comfortable with it. And I've always kind of sort of been very confident in the things that I love. And if it's something that someone's going to turn their nose up at, I can guarantee you my skirt will be much shorter than next time.
Well, I think wasn't it Dolly Parton that famously said it takes a lot of money to look this cheap?
Absolutely. That's why I love that woman. So, oh God, when was Tina? We're talking about my childhood and going back when I was a wee girl.
Well, yeah. So the thing, it was. I think we were talking about you starting a dance school.
Yeah,
but I think.
Do you know what happened? I'll tell you what happened. There was an older man and an older lady, St Paul's Hall, on a Tuesday night in Hathorn Street, and they had this disco dancing class in the late 70s, right? And back then, where I lived on the Lower Falls, all the streets, it was very community driven. Loads of kids everywhere. Every street had a big family, you know? And we all were friends and we all ran about together and we all hung around the street corners and things like that. But in St Paul's Hall in Hathorn Street, downstairs was a snooker club, upstairs was this big parochial hall. And on a Wednesday night, they had bingo. But on a Tuesday night, from nowhere, wee Peggy and Sammy, God bless them, came along and they were teaching disco dancing. Now, I hadn't got a clue. So it was 25p in, and back then that was a lot. And I went for the first time, and it was a sea, an ocean of wee girls. Now, picture this. If you think back, I was about 9 or 10, and do you remember the film The Goonies?
Mm-hmm.
No wee chunk?
Uh-huh.
That was me. Hey, you guys.
Was he the one that was doing the truffle shuffle?
That was
They
him.
used to, okay, yeah,
That was me.
Yeah.
I was the happiest, fattest, chunkiest kid you've ever seen in your life. And I was camp with it, but I was a happy kid, you know? So I went into this dance school. I paid my 25p in, and I was fascinated. And the strange thing was, I was looking at the lady teaching the routine. She used to one side there'd be about 200 kids on that side, 200 kids on this side, and about 300 kids down the back. Now the boys were all messing about, and I was probably the only one who paid attention. And he used to go, right, everybody get in the lines. I ran to the front. I said, I'm going to get this. I am going to do this, right? I'm going to do this. And the next thing was, put the music on. 5, 6, 7, and I got it straight away. And that for me was something that I was learning, and that's where the whole dancing thing, that dance class came. And I always thought, then straight, and I think it was 1981 or 1982 on a Thursday night, best night TV ever. Top of the Pops was on, and then straight afterwards was Fame, when Fame was good. And I used to lie across our open coal fire that burnt everything else but coal because it was too dear.
Neighbour's fence,
That's
burnt.
it. Shoes, gutties, you name it. Put it in the fire. And I watched Fame, and then I used to think to myself, I'd love to have my own dance school. Look at that. And I guess that's where that seed that was planted. And then I thought, right, okay, I would love my own dance school. And because they used to have these wee mini competitions within that dance class, and I won it, I think just the once, because they didn't want to pick a boy. But I didn't care. I had the routines, and everybody knew I could do it. I didn't care. Nobody was really bothered whether I was up doing the lessons or not. But they always stayed in my head, and I could do those routines right now.
It's kind of funny though, isn't it? Because it's a different time as well.
Completely.
And you mentioned in the last podcast that you were attracted to feminine things.
Yeah.
Like when you were growing up, even before you stepped into that dance school, like how were your family with you?
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. My family were very, very functional. My father ruled the roost, but my mummy was the queen of the house. And whatever mummy said ruled. And if you didn't do as you were asked, then daddy would have stepped in. But we were all treated beautiful. We had a very happy childhood. We didn't have really genuinely didn't have much. My family, my upbringing was very happy. We had food. We had clean clothes. We were Christmas, birthdays, all the usual stuff. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's very happy. It was a happy house.
Oh, that's good.
We had our ups and downs. We had our bumps along the way. We were living in the middle of the troubles, and you know what I mean. I mean, some of the stuff I would go, oh my God, where do you hear this? So this is true. So I was about 6 or 7 going to primary school, and we used to call for each other on the way up to school, right? And there'd be about, by the time you got to the bottom of Oakman Street, there'd be about 8 or 9 of us. And I remember one of the wee boys' mummies saying to us, now here, see if there's any shooting. Remember, you hit the deck. You don't move. You lie flat. See when it's over, get up and go on to school. And that was normal. And sometimes, because when you come down Oakman Street, to the right was Beachmount. You had Beachmount Pass and Beachmount Grove. But that road continued on down, right along onto the Falls Road. That was the main road. And just to the left was St. Rose's High School. And it had a nickname called RPG Avenue. Rocket launchers.
Yeah.
Now, so it was a big wide open space. You know, it was just like wasteland. You used to have to walk across. And I'm not joking you, there was a couple of times we've been walking down. Hey, remember now, boys. See if there's any shooting. Make sure you hit the deck. 2 minutes later, we were all flat.
Flip.
Bullets. I'm being serious.
Flat. Oh, that's crazy.
And we used to lie there, right? And I I had this duffel coat, right? And every time I hit the deck, I lost a button. And see the buttons, right? The buttons were big wooden ones. You used to just thumbing on. You have to
And they were like the ones that were sort of like cone shaped.
yes.
Yeah.
The big white
yeah.
lace and all. You just have to twist it and turn it and all.
Yeah.
And I remember laying there thinking, and the bullets were literally whizzing over our heads. And thinking, see if I lose another button, I swear to God, I won't go mental. And all the mummies would come out screaming, oh my God, stay down, don't move. Bedlam and the army was shooting back, and everybody was screaming, there's children here. And then the next thing, the mummies would have come over. You all right? Yeah, we're dead on, right? Go to school.
That definitely would not happen today, to be fair.
No.
Definitely.
You'd have been in counselling. You'd have been. What do you hear? I mean, you used to walk in, the teacher goes, stay to you, where we use snipers. Take your coat off. Go sit down. And that was it. That was a
Madness.
that was a lot. That was a lot of. And see, when I think today, when I hear other people going, oh, I'm really sorry, but that just triggered me. I look at them and I go, oh, excuse me. Hold on a wee minute, honey. Oh, let me take you back to the day. You know, when I hear that, I go, please, oh, get out of my sight. Are you crazy? One of the other things is that me and my mummy are like, are you close to your mummy?
Yeah, maybe not as close as you would be with your mum. I think my mum lives a bit further away as well, so it's kind of like, I know that you spend a lot of time with your mum because your mum lives with you at the moment.
My mum lives with me, yeah.
So yeah, I probably don't see her as much as I should.
There is no other love in the world as pure as a mother's love. As pure. But that always wasn't the case for me. My mummy used to fight like cat and dog. We did. I was the youngest of 6 kids, and mummy had 3 children. 3 of my siblings can't hear or speak. And when my mummy had 5 kids, the oldest was only 3. So she had it tough, and then you had the troubles, and then you had all the ratting, and then you had you had to be in for a certain time and all this carry on. So it created a lot of extra pressure and stress and worries and all that kind of stuff. And I never forget the day we were, and our relationship just was completely and utterly, we were at each other's throats, because I was this tough, wee, chubby cookie, and I wanted. And my mummy wasn't a bit shy at lifting her hand and cracking me across the jaw when I went too far. And the day I come home from school and she moved house and didn't tell me was a kind of a sign to say, right, that's it.
Hold on, wait, back up. She moved house?
Forgot to tell me. Come home from my lunch. I was in the house. I was like, what are you doing? That's not your... What? I had to do a big U-turn and walk out with my duffel coat with 2 buttons. I swear to God. But no, in saying that, we always, as you know, as a child, and you were growing up back in them days, and there's so many beautiful memories I have. And my mummy, when she was carrying me, was convinced I was going to be a girl. But yeah, and I was 12 years of age, and I forget, it was the first year. And I came home from my lunch, and she was in the house at the time. The house, it was the right house, and she was just sitting there. She was just folding her wee thing. She had in her hand her wee tea towel. Here she was, the Glen. Not telling. It's gospel truth. She says, "Can I tell you something?" It's like, "Yes, love." "See, when you were born, I was so disappointed." My heart. I'll never forget it. I was watching the news, lunchtime news, and there was this flood somewhere. And I looked around at her, my eyes filled with water, and she was just carried on folding the wee tea towel. "Yeah, I was so disappointed. Because I was so convinced you were going to be a girl, you see. There's 5 boys and 1 girl. And I was carrying you, and I kept saying to your daddy, that's going to be a girl, you know." And he was like, "No, it's not. Hold on, what do you say? And she said, it is, just like Christina. And when they handed you to me and they said, it's a boy, I went, what?" "And are you sure?" And they said, "Yeah, he has a penis." But here, this is how I got to know my mummy. Because tears were like creeping out through the pores of my... And she said straight away, And that's why I love you the most, because I carried that guilt for a very long time.
Oh.
And I just kept kissing you and cuddling you and telling you how sorry I was. Even when you were a little infant in the cot in the corner of the room, I kept running over to you and I kept kissing you. And your daddy used to shout at me and, oh, would you leave him alone, you book Egypt, you?
I mean, in many ways, she got the girl that she wanted, right?
Isn't this the irony? Isn't this the irony? I was like, oh my word, and that's how I looked for the very first time at my mum and think, that's what my mummy does. She tells you a story without warning,
Uh huh.
without saying, "Nah, I need you to listen. I need you to understand. I want you to tell you this, and I need to explain." She just goes, "Can I tell you something?" And she goes, cutthroat, completely cutthroat. So we went into so I left school in 1984 and I joined Clowney Youth Training Program. And then I was like 16, 17, and a lot of the girls, we used to go to Peggy and Sammy's, and they left. They'd gone. So because I could do the dancing, a couple of girls had said, would you teach us dancing? And they went down to St. Rose's High School where this youth club was on for girls only called Club Shalom. And there was the most remarkable lady in there called Sheila. And she was only young, And so they went and they spoke and they said, we don't know if we can let him in because it's meant to be all female. But she said, go and get it and try it. And that's where my dance classes all began. And we had a name, New Technique. We were called New Technique, my wee dance school. And those kids were just amazing. Absolutely amazing. There was nothing else for them back then. There literally wasn't. I took all those wee girls off the streets and I taught them how to dance and routines, pairs, team routines. We went to England, Scotland, Wales. Didn't always win, but created beautiful memories. And do you know what? It was also an excuse for me to be surrounded by makeup and big hair and sequences and female company. Because I was in a house dominated by males, and it was only just me and my mum, and my sister was much like 5, 6 years older than me. So, but my dance school was just camp.
It's funny because there's been a couple of things whenever we've been out. Are these the people that you've danced
Taught.
with or okay, so they're
Taught.
taught, because I know that you were the manager at the Groovy Train as well. So these are people that you'd actually taught. So do you still keep in touch with anybody from that? Or
I do, because ironically you say that, because one of my ex pupils, Sorsha, she messaged me on Instagram and wanted to meet me for a coffee. And Sharon is another one, would message me every now and again. They still call me Wolsey, and they still, I can just see they now realize and appreciate the time and effort I put into that, and I was ever so grateful for them, because for me, I had an outlet that never would have existed. And I would have been a wee bit afraid, of where my mind would have went, not having, the girls and their hair and the dance competitions, the mummies. Oh my God, I love the mummies. The dance moms, as they're called now. Back then it was called the mass. But yeah, the dance school it was disco dancing basically. It's like team formation and pairs and then solos. And there used to be this big competition in Northern Ireland, and you had to really compete to get through and all this kind of stuff. But it was so good. It was just lovely. And then all of a sudden one night, when I started to realize about the whole gay thing and stuff, Tina wasn't even any
she was only a twinkle in your eye at that
wee
point.
twinkle, wee twink. And then one night I was walking over to my dance school and I sat them all down and I said, "This is your last class." They were devastated. But I just knew in my heart that was the time to do it, because I was like, right, okay, this is right. Now, they broke their wee hearts and stuff, do you know what I mean? But I just spent like 6 or 7 years with them.
Yeah.
And I wanted to discover me.
Yeah.
I wanted to find out who I wanted to be. And, things were changing. My other friends were getting engaged, getting married, having kids. and I was like, right, okay.
It's kind of funny because I think you said in episode 1 of our podcast, you talked about how you're very decisive and how you're very like black or white. Like,
Yep.
yes, I know you that when you have something in your mind, that's it. Like, you'll execute that sort of that decision. Which is interesting. Here's a fun thing you might not have known about me.
Yeah.
So, well, actually, first of all, so it was like you were doing disco dancing, which I'm assuming in the 70s was like pointing in the air, disco dancing, not to be confused with disco dancing in the late 90s, certainly the late 90s, where it was all sort of like sequins and like real hard dance music and stuff. But when I was living in East Antrim, whenever I was growing up, I took disco dancing lessons. But it was late 90s dance disco dancing lessons, and I coped with them for about 3 weeks.
Oh.
Too high energy for me, and I just couldn't commit to doing the splits. Because that was a thing. It's like the first half hour of lessons were kids like stretching each other's legs. I was like, no, that's not for me.
No,
that's not for me.
No,
but
I mean, it was disco dancing mainly, and as I say, it was mainly all girls, and then it got boys wanted to start to come into it, but that was at the stage where I was like, man, I want to go now.
So we're going to take a very quick break, and we'll be right back after this.
So as I was just saying before that very quick commercial break, it was, I still keep in touch with them. From time to time I bump into them, but here's the thing. I don't recognize them.
Oh,
so most of them I don't. Some of them I do. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. They've grown into wonderful young professional ladies, and they've got families of their own and stuff like that. The last time I would have seen them would have been 40 plus years ago.
But that's good that they still recognize you, though,
and stop and talk to me.
That's good.
Yeah,
I mean, fair play to you if you can remember somebody from 40 years ago. I struggle to remember somebody I met last week.
Well, and sometimes it would say to me, "Do you not remember me?" And I would have to be honest, and I'd say, "I'm sorry, I don't." And I'd rather be honest with the truth than go and pretend that I do. Well, they're only going to say you don't. Yeah. Do you know what I mean?
Or you do that thing where, well, this is the way I get around it is if someone says, "Oh, do you not remember me?" I go, "Hi, love," and then I'll spend the next 5 days trying to work out where I actually remember them from. Yeah. So fair play to you, because that's probably the easier option.
It's the easier option to go, I'm really sorry, but I don't. Do you want to remind me? And then they'll tell me their name, and they'll say I was such and such, and I was partnered with such and such, and then the memory starts to flip, and you go, "Oh yes, right, okay," and then you can take it from there. They used to have this disco dancing competition once a month up in the Green and Lodge, and all the wee dance schools used to come from all over, and it was good. It was a very good way to bring all the communities together, and it was a full day event. So it was, I think the last time I was up there would have been in 1994, and I was seeing somebody at that time. He was from Dublin, and because I remember we broke up that day. So we did. And that was the last competition that I had been with the pupils, the dance school. And I had thought to myself, I can't keep doing this, giving this much to this, and there's other stuff going on. But the dance competitions were brilliant. The one in Ayr in Butlins in Scotland was the one to go for, And like, there's still disco dancing, I would say, has changed quite a bit from back then. But I still look and I still watch wee bits and pieces. I still know other people who are involved in dance to this day. I don't know how they're doing it, but
Was there ever sort of like any serious moments or anything like that? Like, surely it can't have been all fun.
They were.
Really?
It really was. It was just all a bit of it was a bit of a hobby. And because I discovered I had natural rhythm and I was asked would I teach, I thought, yeah, why not? And I did it, and I got a place, and it was a big assembly hall in a high school, and the facilities were fantastic, and all the kids just loved it. All the kids wanted to be a part of it, and I thought, yeah, come on, and it really took off. I mean,
would you never consider doing it now?
Never.
You've done your time.
I've done my time, love. Not at all.
Great. Okay, well, we're going to move on to the next part of the show.
Excellent.
So we'll be right back after this.
See you soon.
Tina's tips.
Be both Beauty and the Beast.
Tina's tips.
My iconic tonic.
Welcome back, everybody, to Sips and Giggles with me, Miss Tina Leggs Tantrum, with legs from here to Antrim, and of course,
Me, Glenn. Hi.
hi. This little piece and segment that I absolutely adore, we call it the Iconic Tonic, and we talk
Yes.
about iconic things of the week.
Yes.
My iconic tonic has been my iconic tonic all my life, and the reason why is because it's a human being.
Ooh. Like an
And
actual human being.
Natural human being, yours. Walking, talking, living doll. And her name is Kitty. And Kitty is my best friend. And we actually grew up together. Ooh. Kitty has a brother called John Glenn. And John and my brother Tony were best friends too. So Kitty is a childhood friend from we were nippers. And Kitty was the girl in the area, and she was just stunning. She long black hair and a fringe. I used to be looking at her. Let's go to school. Look at her hair. I love her hair. I love her hair. Her hair is beautiful, so it is. And I just think she's really iconic because I've learned so much. I've always been drawn to very strong women. Always have been, always will. And Kitty is probably one of the most strongest, iconic women I've ever met in my entire life. Even when we were like way back, you know, different situations and different things that have happened, and she's come through them, and I've thought, wow, you know, very inspiring, just trucking on. And you know, she's a mother, she's a grandmother, and she's partnered, and you know, she's just someone who I absolutely adore. So that's my iconic tonic, not just for the week, but for life.
Oh, that's nice.
Thank
That's
you.
so nice.
Now
That's
tell
so
me
nice.
this, Glenn.
Yes.
Who is your iconic tonic?
Well, this week
Mm-hmm.
might have been inspired by an event that happened a couple of weeks ago. My iconic tonic this week is, in fact, two-time Eurovision winner, Queen Loreen. Now, I personally consider her a gay icon, and I'm hoping that there are a lot of gay people out there that agree with me on that. She's got so many qualities. She's unapologetic, authentic. She is a supportive advocate for LGBTQ rights. She speaks out against discrimination. And of course, as we talked about in the first podcast, I am a sucker for injustice.
Yeah.
And she is a person that's out there advocating against injustices. Her music, of course, as well, it's extremely powerful. It resonates with me. A lot of her lyrics are about empowerment, love, and acceptance. And she's actually, like, I don't know if you've seen the way that she dressed. I follow her on Instagram. She is quite a style icon as well.
Yeah.
I mean, not my kind of fashion, but you know, the clothes, every time I see a photograph of her, she's shot well, she looks amazing. And her iconic performances, you have to remember the 2012 Eurovision.
Yeah.
She brought the house down with Euphoria. It's up there as one of the most iconic Eurovision performances ever. And again, she done it last year. I was in Liverpool. I watched her live singing her smash hit Tattoo, which of course she won. The other things as well, just another couple of like bullet points this, but you know, she is up there with community engagement. She does engage with the LGBTQIA fan base. She's there through social media. I was at her concert in Dublin. She engaged with us there and other events that she's been at as well. And just representation, like her visibility in the music industry, I feel She is an openly queer artist, and she provides much needed representation for the LGBTQIA community. And I think just in general, she has a positive influence just through her music, her activism, and her presence as well. And as I've said already, like, why else is she an icon? What else do we need to talk about? She has won the Eurovision Song Contest twice. She's the only female to have ever done that. She's received so many awards as well, critically acclaimed music. She performs at Pride. She was at Mighty Hoopla last year as well. And she does often collaborate with LGBTQIA artists as well. And for that reason, this week, my iconic tonic is the Queen Loreen. She's pretty awesome. Give her a listen.
We love you, Loreen.
You can find her on all good, where you get your music from.
On your phone.
Oh dear. Anyway, that's been my iconic tonic.
Thank you.
Sip and share.
Up next is Sip and Share, where we ask Tina listener questions. So, we have a question in from none other than Gail Moorhead,
Okay.
as she is on Instagram. And she asks, Tina, what advice would you give to somebody that's interested in exploring drag?
Try it. Give it a go. Give it a really, really good go. I think try and drag at home is fine. It's fun. It's safe. But if you really want to invest in it, try and take your time with what you want to do and see if you can get a wee slot somewhere and then see how you feel afterwards. Some people think, oh my God, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And then they go out, and then what happens when they're in a place, in a venue, and they're performing is a completely different perception.
Being on a stage is scary.
It is.
It is scary. And I mean,
Yeah.
I being in drag, I know that there are drag queens that will describe drag as almost like a mask.
Yeah.
So people can hide behind that when they're on stage.
That's so true.
But it is, like, being on a stage just is tough.
It is, and you've got something you really, really have to want as well. A bit of drag's fun. If you just want to do a bit of fun drag, do it. Dress up whenever you want, you know what I mean? Throw whatever. But if you're really interested and you want to give it a bash, you can always, there's plenty of room down there for, a little one night spin around. So that.
Basically reach out to a venue, ask if they're doing an open drag stage at some point, or an established venue that perhaps maybe is happy to showcase young talent. Reach out to them as well.
Or if you don't want to put yourself under that pressure, Belfast Pride is up and coming very soon. What you could do is practice at home, show a few friends, have friends around, get their honest opinion. Even if it's negative, do it anyway. And then if you want to do, like, be seen out in drag, go to Pride.
What about skills?
Get your frock on.
What about skills? So again, I'm not a drag queen, so I don't know, and I'm genuinely interested. So what do you see as sort of like the most sought after skill? So if somebody was to come and ask you, Tina, can I have a space on your stage to perform? What kind of advice? And this is me asking. So my Instagram handle is @Magooks with a Z. What is the most sought after skill?
I look for, when I see the baby drags coming, I look for confidence, and I also look for good manners. Those are two things I look for. Because if you have really good manners, right, and you're low on confidence, those manners will teach your confidence to grow. Because you're going to say yes, and you're going to say thank you, and you're going to say please, and you're going to say yes, no problem, or can you help me? If you come in with too much confidence and not enough manners, I'm sorry, but the answer is no. Do you understand? Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, to try and replay back what you've said, so I try and understand what you're talking about here is, is about, I suppose it's just not being cocky. It's like, being respectful to the venue, to the audience.
Absolutely.
Making sure that that you're not taking your audience for granted, because it's quite easy. It's quite easy to do that.
Completely. And that's why I always say, as you well know, before every single show, we do the prayer. because I'm grateful.
The prayer you're referring to, though, is that backstage
Backstage
you
with
have
the
a man
girls, nobody is going anywhere. When we're all dressed and we've got everything ready, before we head out onto the stage, I do the circle and I'll say the prayer, and we take our hands, and I'll say a simple asking prayer for God to protect us, look after us, sprinkle some magic dust on us, give us a happy, clappy, toad, happy crowd. Amen. And it works.
That's interesting.
It's gratitude. And this is why I mean with good manners and confidence. If you come to me with really good manners, it means you're disciplined. It means you're respectful. It means you're interested, but you're also kind of a bit of afraid. And your confidence mightn't be much. But if you come to me with good manners and a little bit of confidence, and I like you and you've got something and I can help you, I will. I definitely will. I love sharing my stage, and I love the younger kids, and I love the younger baby drags, And if I owned a venue, I would definitely be, I'll give you a try, and I'll give you a try, and I'll give you a try, and I'd let them fight it out on the stage performance-wise, That's where your confidence grows. You can have the best prep talk in the world. But here's where it comes from. You get on that stage, no one else can help you but you.
Thank you so much for that, Tina.
You're welcome.
And that sadly means that it is the end of another episode of G&T Sips and Giggles.
Sips and Giggles.
But we will be back. When will we be back?
We'll be back very soon in 2 weeks' time.
Yes, indeed we will. And we will have another episode for you. So until then, it's goodbye from me, Glenn.
And goodbye from Miss Tina Leggs. Thank you so much, everybody. Love you all. Stay safe and always be kind.
Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at G&T Pod. Also, thank you to those people that took the time to write in a question. If you would like to write in a question or send us a voice note, you'll find the details in the description of this episode. And of course, if we haven't already asked enough of you, please subscribe and leave a review, but be kind. Much love, G&T.